Hey, it's Brad. So, labels are interesting. They're kind of like a symbolic shorthand for classifying definitions or categorizations, generally related to functionality and often optimized, but they aren't what provide the definition itself. So, I find it difficult to really, ascribe to a school of thought even when I agree with it. Largely because just, the association and affiliation, it's like party lines, like I have no control or say or necessarily even faith in whatever else will happen from a certain, you know, entity of mundane individuals. And why would I want them to be spokesmen for my beliefs and perspectives by saying they represent me? That's, you know, kind of a slippery slope. It's, giving a Facebook app, access to post for you. And that went real bad a few years ago when they didn't have tight controls on it. But labels, I mean, just a concept with respect to another concept. It's embedding a context into what you're saying. It's like the, what are they called? The Russell conjugations. Like, I'm firm, you're pig-headed, he's stubborn. It's like you can spin a term to be not so bad or particularly bad. And it's just all in the phrasing and word choice and perspectives. And so Bertrand Russell was identifying that and had a term for it there. But just the context that it provides for the structure in your mind. I mean, it's your mind is just a network of concepts built of other concepts. Somewhere in the past, each one is built off of sensory input based on basic chemical wetware. And somehow we generally trend towards a common vocabulary of concepts. But it's like with math, you can learn the basics and you need to learn more advanced concepts. But as you learn further advanced concepts, you find how these are actually more fundamental to the basic ones that you learned at the beginning. But the jargon, it's so gnarly. As soon as you get past, basic undergrad math, it's people's names and words they made up. And it's like, I remember this one really good conversation I was having with Jason Vandenberg a while back. We were talking about classification systems for players in video games. And like every couple of months feels like somebody new is coming out with, their unique spin on, how you can break things down to get a deeper insight into the truth of, your fan base. And 99% of the time, it's just the same stuff, sliced slightly differently. And the same with things like, theorems in math and laws in physics. People like to name things after themselves for sure. And then that just makes everything convoluted. Because again, you can't control your legacy. You can't control what your name means. Like imagine if the Pythagorean theorem was unfortunately created or affiliated with a group of people named Hitler. So it's the Hitler theorem. Or, that's... I doubt we would want to keep calling it that. We'd probably go back to, some terms about what it actually is. Which, if it's so common that everyone knows it, everyone uses it, then a term like that's fine. Pretty much everyone in the world knows what Pythagorean theorem is. Or at least, the concept, if they've had, basic high school trigonometry or, drawn a triangle and heard somebody talk about it. But the labels can be very detrimental, like with math. And again, because it's all about their hubris. Somebody's like, oh, well, I want, my name to be on this thing that people are using forever. Well, it's been a reality forever in the past. You're just lucky enough to have observed it, and so then you're going to get your name on it. Well, congratulations. And it's certainly good that people should be, praised for their good work and all this, but it's like Trevor Noah's joke about Great Britain going around introducing themselves as that. And people are like, well, shouldn't you just let other people call you great based on the things you do? And then, again, your legacy. Things that you don't know about or things that you keep secret, truth will out. Like Carl Jung, philosopher and psychologist and all this other stuff, had some, negative connotations. His material about like archetypes and collective unconscious, it's all really interesting stuff. And it looks like has some decent truth to it because when you glance at it, it looks like it's got a kind of a flavor of mathematics under the hood. But evidently he was a spy for the Americans in World War II, and he was reporting out on Hitler's mental state and his psychological state to the American government. And so who knows what would have been differently if he wasn't there. And that certainly afforded him some interesting opportunities. But just having a name associated with something, like, Bill Cosby. Name was associated with a lot of great stuff in the 80s and 90s and all this. And then, of course, now it's completely in the mud. I'm certainly not saying that it shouldn't be, just that we need to be able to extricate value from worthless. And the stuff that's worthless doesn't need to be thrown away necessarily, but it becomes just the detail. By varying the wavelengths of different colors of light, they can weave together and create images. But if everything's black and white, you can still have images. It's just stark. And those things are going to propagate differently. But, so again, it just comes back to, like, I don't know whether it's, or at least was, reincarnation under the hood. Like, evidently, Origen, I saw an interview of Jordan Peterson talking to Baron Bishop, talking about Origen, and then later found out, evidently Origen believed in reincarnation, which really puts an interesting spin on his stuff. So yeah, legacy and connotations, because eventually all information will be available. Truth will be out there.